Listen, no matter what you go through in life, I want you to know that it's not hard to talk about it. Hi, everyone. It's Latavian Gardner, and welcome to the first episode of It's Not Hard to Talk About. I am honored to bring you a pop up podcast that will involve a variety of guests, and you just never know where we're going to be. I know a lot of people are maybe watching this channel and saying, well, who is Latavian Gardner? I am an award winning author, spoken word artist, an educator of 22 years. Can you believe that? Teaching anywhere between elementary, middle, and high school, EBD centers, alternative programs, you name it. I have been there. I'm also an inspirational speaker and a coach to many. I just am grateful for the journey that I've been on. Just to give you a little bit of my life, it actually takes my mother to tell this part of my journey. At 3 months, they had given up on me. I was in the hospital and they told my mother that I wouldn't make it to the next day. And my mother, being a woman of faith, decided to pray about it. She didn't know what to do. From what she tells me, she went on a bench inside the hospital and she laid there, and within a few moments the ceiling began to open up and she heard this voice say, your daughter is going to be okay. A few minutes later, she ended up going back into the hospital room, and there I was, laughing and in good health. They had taken the tubes out of my head and then apparently out of my nose, and I was breathing on my own. And they told my mother that they didn't understand what happened, but from the looks of it, they had tested my blood and they told her that I will never be sick again, and I never was. And I'm grateful for that testimony every time my mother tells me. And so I know that God's hands have been on my life since, I was born. And so fast forwarding, I was not always a confident person. I grew up very timid and didn't quite understand who I was, and had to learn the art of public speaking. Growing up, I didn't have a conversation with you unless you had a conversation with me. We came from a big family. I have cousins, and in my immediate family is 3 sisters and 1 brother, and rest in peace, Willie Earl Gardner. I miss you so much. Growing up, not being able to use my voice, knowing that in the future it will become the very thing that helped many of people that I've come in contact with. I had the opportunity to grow up around, my sister and her friends, where there was a lot of advice that pushed me to the confident person that I was. I ended up attending college, didn't quite know what the college life was about, but I'm so glad that I made the journey to Bethune-Cookman College. It is currently known as Bethune-Cookman University, but those of you who attended Bethune-Cookman College, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. I am a Wildcat. Wildcats, let's go. And as a matter of fact, if you attended Bethune-Cookman College and your president was Oswald P. Bronson, y'all already know how the game goes. So FAMU, Florida A&M, don't even hate. Do not come under my comment. I know y'all won the Classic this year, but guess what? We've won all 7 or 8 of them prior to you guys' one win. I mean, it's a real battle that's going on between the 2 colleges, but thank God for all HBCUs. And so I've had the privilege of doing that. And so fast forwarding from there, after leaving college, education was definitely the field. And I ended up, how I stepped into the journey of writing, I was challenged by one of my co-workers, and his name is Ronnie Laurent. He was very creative and very talented, and he was like, you like poetry? And I'm like, nah, I don't know if I like poetry. I didn't know that poetry will open up a new door of creativity for me. A poem that I had written in 3 minutes won the Editor's Choice Award. I encourage other people to tell their story, no matter how painful it is. You hold the pen, you control the narratives. Meeting so many film and actors gave me the ability to host my own radio show. Will the Real One, I thank you so much for giving me the gospel open mic. It was an amazing experience. Traveling, promoting, expose the reality, and then deal with it. The art of writing poetic expressions introduced me to poets and the producers of BET. I thank you to the Gathering of the Arts for giving me the award in Spoken Word Artist of the Year in 2007. To every single youth, you got this. Young people, you can do whatever you set your mind to. Police brutality does not stand in the way. Film, music, you got this. And no matter what you experience in life, God will open up the door. Thank you to my family, my sisters, my cousins, my mom, my aunts. Thank you so much for supporting me throughout this journey. Most importantly, thank you, God, Dr. and Gilbert S. Smith. Those were a lot of the spoken word artists that did an amazing job. And so I interviewed them all. And then, along with the journal that I had kept myself, I put it into my second book, which was The Art of Writing Poetic Expressions. And in this book, I had the opportunity to kind of look over all of the work that I had done, and I wanted to find out what is it that I can do with this body of work and how can I use it to touch the lives of people. And so I wrote my first book, Trapped for So Long, enter into the mind of a child in her attempt to find closure, and that's what the journey I was on. And that book ended up getting a lot of notoriety in a short time. And I was contacted by the producers of both Oprah Winfrey as well as Tyra Banks, and didn't have the opportunity to get on the show because they wanted to center it around mother and daughter relationships. And my mom was like, yeah, I'm not going on no show. She thought the book was about her, but it wasn't. It was just an amazing story about how a mother and daughter were able to overcome so many different obstacles in spite of what the enemy tried to do to tear us apart. And so it's an amazing book. I ended up taking it off the shelf because I was discouraged at one point because I wasn't able to go on these major networks and promote it. But then I realized, that might have not been my journey at that moment. And so I started, taking tours around different cities and just making an impact on the lives of mothers and daughters across the board. And then spoken word became a huge deal in my life, to the point where I was coming in contact with all these amazing poets, Will the Real One, Asia, and POW, the youngster who is currently making movies right now. Congratulations to you. Hopefully we can get him on, the podcast and share some amazing things with you. And I'm almost sure that we can. So I wrote my second book, which was The Art of Writing Poetic Expressions. And this one in particular came out in 2004. And the beginning of this book, I dedicated it to a poet who was kidnapped from West Africa in 1766 by the name of Phyllis Wheatley. And so she began her journey of writing because, that was her way of being able to express herself during that time. The poem that won the Editor's Choice Award is written also in this book, and I wanted to read it to you. It says, as life began to dish its blows in the air, sometimes I wonder, so far in a stare, to ask the question why without trust. So I balled up in pain, agony, defeat, lust to call it quits and take it out on the world. So from deep within comes this rage. Yeah, so what, I'll say whatever I feel and know, but I got to be real. There's confusion in my head, a battle in my mind, telling me who can I trust, where can I go, how lonely am I with nothing to show. Can you understand the pain or the hurt that I'm in? You can't unless you look within. Do you really care? Because I see your stupid grin. I've been trapped for so long, won't let nobody in. Can't you see? Alone is the only way that I can think. You're no help to me. I don't want your advice. You can't make me think twice. Forget you. Bye. Get out of my life. Go on. Let me rest. Simply alone, trapped for so long, is what I know best. I was very broken at that time, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. There were so many gifts and talents inside of me, and I didn't know quite how to bring that all together. And so, for those of you who are maybe dealing with the same thing within, I would strongly recommend that you just take it one step at a time. Grab a journal, write them all down, and just put it together like a puzzle. Poetry became my way of escape. I began to, if someone aggravated me, I would just write a poem about them. So and I would just get upset and throw all my frustrations into the pen, and it just became, my way of venting. I would just go to the open mic shows and present these poems and, get these applause, and I'll be like, okay, I'm doing good. And so Will, the real one, was, it had a huge impact on my becoming a spoken word artist. He was like the best, and I had a crush on him. So I actually wrote a poem about him one day, and I said, I'm going to go to the open mic and I'm just going to say this poem about him, but I just won't say his name. I'll just, do the poem. And I had no intentions on mentioning his name, and when I got there, his name popped up, and everybody just went crazy, like, oh my God, no, she didn't. And so, I just was like, wait a minute, did I just do that? So this one is called My Crush on You. As he stares into my eyes to make his point, all I can think about is, I wonder what type of woman he wants. Does he want her to be shy and sweet and put up a good fight? Or is it the one he wants to lay with for just one night? This man, he's the epitome of clarity with the voice that says, girl, don't play these games with me. I can't help but wonder if he would be interested in a girl like me, one who stands for Christianity. You see, he creates a challenge for me. Unordinary from the suit and tie man, you see. Well, I guess there's only one way to see what his reaction would be towards me. Maybe I can write it into words or simply shout it out, hey, Will, I'm feeling you, right? In spite of our difference. Does the fact that I like to pray intimidate your way of believing that I could be the one for you? Because shoot, if I wasn't a Christian, and back in the day, it would be on like popcorn and I wouldn't even hesitate. But I can't go that route no more. Truly, life has so much more in store, like building relationships on love and respect. Can y'all feel that? They went crazy. I couldn't believe that I had said his name. Fast forwarding, poetry became the center of attention of my life for at least a year or two. I would walk in different stores and, I would go to different events, baby showers, weddings, and I would always go to the aisle and try to find a card, and never could find the perfect card. So I made my own cards. And so if I would attend a wedding, I just, go ahead and purchase my own cards, and it was called Inspira Cards, like inspiration, Inspira Cards, by Latavian Gardner. And I actually, these were sold online, and I would just write the poems inside because I could never find what I was looking for in the store. And so poetry controlled, that zone of my life. And so pushing forward, I decided to take a break after writing poetry. I was a member of Apostolic Revival Center in Miami, Florida, where Dr. Gilbert S. Smith was the pastor. He wanted to write a book, and I was honored because out of all the years he's been in ministry, for me to be selected to write the book, I was excited. I said, I'm going to write this 200-page book, and he was like, no, Latavian, I want my book to be this small. And I'm like, what? How am I going to take everything that you're doing in the world and put it in a book this small. And so eventually we did, and that book was called A Called to Divine Leadership with Dr. Gilbert S. Smith. And this is one of my proudest works yet. Yeah, I wrote all other books and poems and CDs and all that. But this was a very, very proud moment for me. And in this was a novel of his life and ministry. And on the back, it was, there's a photo of his wife. Shout out to Sister Geneva O. Smith. I love her. And so we were able to put all of his testimonies in here. The way he kept count of the monies, when they got married and how, they met each other, and, all of the different churches that was under his tutelage. At that particular time, he had 228 revival centers, and I'm sure there are more to come, but there's no place like Apostolic Revival Center in Miami, Florida. He really touched a lot of people's lives, and for me to be able to write this book is definitely something that I will always cherish. Rest in peace, Dr. Gilbert S. Smith. So from there, I took a little break and decided not to write again until I just started having all these weird experiences. And then, lo and behold, because writing is therapy for me, I decided to take all of those experiences and put it in another book. And this one is called Expose the Reality and Deal with It. And this is more of an emotional self-evaluation book that talks about pain and pride and stubbornness and selfishness, and how you can lack consideration of others and live in your own world and think that it's only your opinion that matters. All of that stuff eats away at your spirit, and it's definitely not something that would be beneficial for you in the long run. And so I took all of that just to say in this book that if you don't expose your reality, then you can't deal with it. And so this one, all of my books, all of the CDs can actually be found on Amazon. There's a CD that I produced with Mantle Entertainment. He challenged me to do that CD. I did not want to do it, and it became one of a very important project. I did some traveling a little bit, did some career days at multiple schools. I was proud of my very first certificate for being a part of career day, and I just was so happy that I've always been talented. I've always been that person to think outside of the box. I've always come up with different titles and organizations and non-for-profit, and I've always done those things. This is almost since 2005, so it's been an amazing journey, guys. So I didn't just get here. I didn't just pop up out of the blue. Latavian Gardner, it has definitely been on an amazing journey. Trust me. I was even a part of the Key Club, and they gave me an honorary award at that particular time, and I was just so excited about it because, they surprised me on this day. Those of you who are a part of the International Key Club, you guys keep up the good work. I'm watching what you're doing, and I am going to try to invite the CEO on so that you can hear what they're doing in the community. I remember putting together my first non-for-profit, and it was called Ethnicity, Writing to Heal Communities. And I had the ability to produce shows with Ethnicity, Writing to Heal Communities. It was an opportunity to bring those young boys who were part of gangs, those young girls who had been molested not only by people that they don't know, but also those who were within their family. And I wanted them to take this ability to write and heal themselves. And so because I know it was healing for me, I wanted to project that same healing to this generation. I wanted to present writing as a tool to heal. And so, although you may not be able to tell someone about the fact that you've been molested, or you may not be able to tell someone about the fact that you're homeless, or you may not be able to tell someone about how you're hurting inside, how you're tired of betrayal, how you're tired of people taking advantage of you in any shape or form. Writing can become that tool to release all of those things within. It certainly helped me become the person that I am. Now I can smile and say that my smile is genuine. It's not a smile that comes from a place where I'm just doing it for the gram. That's definitely not happening. If you see a smile on this face, it's a genuine smile, because I'm at that place where God had really unraveled the layers of hurt and pain and betrayal and insecurities. He's allowed those layers to be unraveled in my life, and there's nothing like it. And I have been able to do that through the art of writing. My entire family actually writes. My Aunt Aretha, who I'm going to have on in another episode, 75 years old, still writing poetry. When you call her up, she's speaking poetry. My cousins, write poetry, all the way down to my nephew Michael. He writes poetry, and he's going to be on in a future episode, just to see how our generation, our family heritage is so rich. I did not know that growing up. Had I known that we had a rich family heritage of writers and educators and judges and teachers and entrepreneurs, and I would not have been as insecure as I was growing up. I am the great granddaughter of Shelby McAfee. He was a pastor. I did not know that. And so I thought me loving God, or having a relationship, or this spiritual intuition just came because, we grew up in church. But there was a heritage. There was, a family tree, a gifted family tree of speakers. And I did not know that growing up. And I'm so grateful to be able to find out more and more information about our journey. So that is who Latavian Gardner is. That is who I am. That's my journey. And that's Latavian Gardner in a nutshell. I look forward to presenting you guys with real hardcore topics, and bringing on these students, women and men, to tell their stories and to talk about how they got through, how were they able to make it out of those challenging times and still be able to put a smile on their face. Listen, it's gonna be real. This pop-up is gonna be real. You never know where we're going to be, so I strongly recommend that each and every one of you subscribe to our channel. Follow us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, and I tell you the truth, you won't be disappointed, okay? Until then, I'll see you on the next episode of It's Not That Hard to Talk About. God bless you.